The Resident Evil 2 remake, released in 2002, was a ground-up recreation of the 1996 PlayStation hit for the Nintendo GameCube, and to my best guess, was one of the first high-profile video game remakes. Now, with the long-running brand enjoying a revival thanks to the phenomenal successes of Resident Evil 7 and Village, I have had a chance to play the remake of Resident Evil 2 on the PC. And I know what you're thinking. This is an old game. It's great. Blah, 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 blah. Well, let me tell you, friend. I too have no money like you. So when the game was released in 2019, I simply waited. And I waited. And I waited until I could buy the game on sale, or someone in my Twitch community gifted it to me. And special shout out to Twitch, because my friends there have gifted the game to me, and therefore I got to play it, and of course, you get to see this review. So what is Resident Evil 2 Remake? I think it's a fresh take on the game's original scenario, with an Resident Evil 4's over-the-shoulder camera, and some of the elements of Resident Evil 7, all rolled up into one. So in other words, Resident Evil 2 Remake is mechanically much more interesting than the remake of the original on the GameCube. Fans of the original Resident Evil 2 will recognize the basic setup. You get to play as Claire Redfield or Leon Kennedy and approach Raccoon City, besieged by a zombie apocalypse brought on by the evil Umbrella Corporation and its transgressions. The dread begins to sink in as you seek sanctuary at the police station, and Resident Evil 2 veterans will find themselves playing quite nicely as they get used to the new controls, only to be surprised by the numerous additions and changes, such as the even more menacing and emergent scenarios with the iconic Mr. X, who is capable of following the player all over the police station and can't be killed, only stopped. Thus, you as the player have to make new plans to make sure you're not caught as he slowly lumbers towards you. Very similar to the Alien in Alien Isolations, another game I reviewed. You should go check that out. I suppose the only wish I had was that he appeared more frightening. I didn't find his presence fear-inducing, just intimidating, if that makes sense. Mr. X creates fear in the way that a bouncer throws a patron out of a bar, not in the slimy ghoul cornering you kind of way. And if I could have, I would have revised him to be some type of pre-Nemesis style. Or the Leech Man. Ugh. So, really, what's different? The perspective resembles that, like I said, of Resident Evil 4. And the gameplay is similar to what I've played of Resident Evil 7. The horror elements are incredible. Many of the claustrophobic locations and undead enemies can withstand many shots before collapsing into a bloody heap. They will keep lumbering toward you or crawling in their mindless search for human flesh. Thus, due to the scarcity of ammunition, players like you are forced to make tactical judgments about which monsters to kill and which to simply leave. The remake's approach to terror brings traversing the police station and other famous Resident Evil 2 locations to a whole new level of intensity, and the game focuses on a regular supply of high-octane jump scares, the atmospheric gloominess of the poorly illuminated landscapes, and some awe-inspiring monster designs, in addition to the classic RE tropes like inventory management and bullet sponge bosses. The Lickers have always been terrifying. Who can forget this? But now, they're even more so frightening.
What in the...
But what I think is really worth mentioning is the zombie design and the voice acting. Every time you encounter a zombie, they have this presence of a nightmare.
Are you okay? Wait here. I'll check it out. Excuse me, is everything okay?
Stay back, man. I got this.
Get off him! I said get off him! Don't come any closer! Seriously?
Capcom really knocked it out of the park with the basic zombie. I never got tired of dealing with them. But that's not to say that the enemy variety is lacking. You'll encounter zombie dogs, ivy creatures, wall-crawling lickers, and plenty of bosses with huge eyes bulging from abnormal places. While some purists may object to the remake's revisions in the character profiles, I think that the characters remain loyal to their original selves, with some entertaining changes to keep things interesting, such as Ada Wong's new outfit and a terrific sequence with the fan favorite Robert Kendo, the gun shop owner. From the motion capture acting to the horrific displays of blood and gore, the RE engine offers some stunning visuals, all mixed with an art design that is both nostalgic and continually unnerving in its oppressive atmosphere. A few low-res textures here and there do exist, as well as anti-aliasing issues and frame rate oddities, but they do little to detract from the original game's beauty. And when I was streaming it, for some reason, my graphics card did have issues, so I had to play on its lowest settings in order for it to run. I'm glad, though, that Capcom gave the players so many options to increase or lower the graphical fidelity. Although some characters, as Anna Birkin and doomed police officer Marvin Branagh, poor guy, I never killed you, bro.
You all right?
Yeah.
You're safe. For now. Marvin Branagh.
Thanks.
Obviously someone taught you well.
Yeah. I know how to take care of myself.
Come on.
I didn't have the heart. They do have a bit more significance in the remake. The overarching story hasn't changed much from the original. And as a result, the remake falls short of the ambition of the original Resident Evil 2. And the game later gives you a second run option, which feels more like a remixed, more difficult version of the game than a second half of the story, from what I've seen so far. I think that the Japanese developers played very conservatively with its narrative, so much so that not much is learned in the other extra game modes. If there is one criticism that I could bring to this admittedly fabulous game, it's that the main characters, Claire and Leon, just don't have enough screen time together. I wish there was some kind of puzzle experience like Resident Evil 0, in which you got to do more things together. I think a substantial change like that would have been welcomed instead of simply talking about how you're always going to meet up again later, and inexplicably you do at the end on the train. In some manner, the 2002 remake of Resident Evil 1 on the GameCube did add to the canon, but Resident Evil 2 had that same opportunity and I think dropped the ball. The Lisa Trevor plotline in the first remake was included in that, and also there were brief mentions of Alexia Ashford and William Birkin, two of the significant characters in the Resident Evil universe. The numerous plot altercations this time around have little to no impact on the overall story, and furthermore, as I've stated, Claire and Leon rarely appear in the same scenario together, despite the fact that in the first game they did communicate via walkie-talkie for a few character building discussions. They now appear to know each other not much at all, and the little character development that happens all happens within the first hour of the car ride. Besides that, there's plenty of let's meet up again conversations, but it just doesn't go anywhere. A remake of Resident Evil 2 was requested by the fans, and they wanted to return to the terror of Raccoon City's devastation while making it feel like a whole new, fresh experience. And in this regard, Resident Evil 2 Remake is a huge triumph, but sadly, as I've said, it's just uninterested in expanding the franchise's backstory beyond what the original accomplished. And as it is far more concerned with a white-knuckled horror and nonstop tension that fans really love. So, while it does fall short in some of the aspects I would have liked to see, particularly in terms of the interplay between the two protagonists, it more than makes up for it in the terms of gameplay. Even those who have no nostalgia for the original number 2 will find plenty to love and fear in this dark retelling of Resident Evil 2. I did get a chance to play some of the extra DLC content, and I really enjoyed the extra characters because you get to see how they interact with the main characters as they do actions outside of the main campaign. In particular, there's 3. There is the gun shop owner, there's the girlfriend of the guy in the jail cell, and there's the hunk characters. And I've only done one of those so far, but of that, I really enjoyed it. Also, it has a really great arcade feel, which kind of spices up the way that you play the game. And of course, there is, when you unlock it, the tofu mode, in which you have to just race through the game using knife only. I haven't done that. I don't have the heart to do that yet, but it does look like fun. So we'll see if I ever get to that. Overall, I think the game is an excellent remake of the original. The graphics are undeniably amazing, and some of the most frightening things I've seen in games have come from this one. And also, I do wish they added a Resident Evil 4 outfit for Leon. That would have been really cool. I think that the game is a solid 9 just by playing the standard mode, and the ability to play again with the player, and the ability to play again in the second run and having a second person to play with, whether it be Claire or Leon on your second time around, is really awesome. I don't think you should skip on this game. If you have a heart to play scary games or horror games, this is definitely a highlight. Once again, I want to say a special thank you to you, the viewer, and everyone on Twitch that watched me play the game. I really loved playing that for you guys, and I look forward to doing more video reviews for you, so please press that like button, subscribe to the show, and comment about your thoughts about Resident Evil 2 Remake. And I guess I'll see you guys live next time. Bye.